Everyone relax. You are back in the very glamorous redesigned video store with me, Charlie Clausen. Of course, joining me is Guy Davis as we tap dance our way through the raindrops of Steven Spielberg's sci-fi career. It started off a torrent. The storm is easing a little bit as we move into the mid 2000, well, early 2000s, I should say. 2005. He does a remake of War of the Worlds.
Or an adaptation of War of the Worlds.
Yeah, more of adaptation is probably a better
Yeah,
description.
yeah.
Not
'Cause
really
when was the original War of the Worlds film? That was like in the 50s, right?
50s, yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't have the tripods, it had those floating spaceships and things like that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
One, the film or the novel?
Well, the novel, the H.G. Wells novel, has
Had
tripods.
floaty. Oh, it's tripods.
Yeah,
okay.
and then,
the film made them float.
Yeah, made them sort of floaty insecty.
But they're
looking
still
things.
referred to as tripods in the 2005 version.
They are. Well, they are tripods in the Spielberg version.
Yeah, they're referred to as literally, Tim Robbins refers to them as tripods at one point.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if anyone's going to, because I was wondering what to refer to them as. And then Tim Robbins says, you look at those tripods, lightning comes down. It's like, oh, why are you calling them tripods? They've got more than 3 legs.
Do they? Yeah.
Tentacles. Well, maybe they've got 3 legs and a bunch of tentacles.
Bunch of tentacles sounds about right.
Do we need to tell people what War of the Worlds is about?
Bring it up to speed real quick. Yeah. Do you want to do that?
Well, I mean, War of the Worlds in general, the story, or this version of War of the Worlds?
In this version. Yeah.
In this version, Tom Cruise, what's that? Was it Rich Little? Tom Cruise is a pilot. He's a pretty good pilot. He's got some issues with his dad. Overcomes them. Tom Cruise is a race car driver. He's a pretty good race car. Anyway, Tom Cruise is a dock. Tommy used to work at the docks.
He's got the very working class blue collar name of Ray Ferrier.
Ray Ferrier.
Yeah. No relation to Noel Ferrier.
Estranged from Miranda Otto. And her new partner is lumped with his kids for a weekend. Doesn't know how to dad at all.
Tom Cruise usually has daddy issues. This time he is the daddy.
He's the dad. He's the dad. He's the daddy. Aliens decide to invade. They've been eyeing our planet with envy, as Morgan Freeman's opening monologue tells us.
Correct. Yeah. Although it turns out they've actually been here for some time.
Yeah, which is a detail they keep going on about, and
Yeah.
I'm like, we don't need 2 discussions around the fact that the ships were here already. We got it the first time.
They landed. They were buried deep underground. They were just waiting for their moment to emerge.
So
waiting for their time to shine.
2005, obviously, 4 years since 9/11. The war imagery or the attack imagery is you can't get away from it.
Absolutely, yeah.
People covered in ash, running from collapsing buildings. It feels very, very direct.
A lot of captured on the fly video as well.
Yep.
That seemed like a staple of the 9/11 coverage as well. It's funny, I wanted to sort of talk about how September 11 affected Spielberg in relation to AI, artificial intelligence, and Minority Report, even though those movies were probably in development and certainly in production prior to that. I mean, the Twin Towers still play if not a pivotal role, then they're sort of part of the iconography of AI.
Yeah.
Because Manhattan is completely flooded, but you see the
collapsed.
Yeah, you see the tops of the Twin Towers poking out. But just in terms of worldview and, the psychological scarring that must have had on America. I mean, because that was like the first big attack on American soil since Pearl Harbor. Yeah, and
Correct.
It really shook up a lot of Americans.
The second biggest disaster since the movie Pearl Harbor.
Oh dear, this Michael Bay slander will not stand. But yeah, a lot of 9/11 iconography woven through War of the Worlds, not just in terms of the visual imagery, but just that sense of sort of anger and paranoia and distrust.
That's right.
Yeah,
and it's also set in New York, or at least outer borough of New York. So
Yeah.
there is that.
Yeah, because Ray lives in New Jersey. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not that familiar with the various boroughs of New York.
You're just a Manhattan boy.
Oh no, I'm a Staten Island. I'm incredibly racist. But the film is like, I think this is a real. I think this and Minority Report, if we're going to group them together, I think they're kind of good companion pieces, right?
Mhm.
Only a couple of years apart, and it's a similar era of Spielberg where it's not so much the wonder and awe of his 80s era. This is, like you say, it's about paranoia and distrust and violence. Like if he had a loving fascination with aliens in the 80s, War of the Worlds is
I don't trust these guys.
the inverse of that. Okay. I haven't seen it in a long time when I watched it, and I was glued. Like it gets into the action real quick, and then it doesn't really let up. Like Fury Road is often held up as an example of just like almost a perfect chase film because it's literally the whole film is just one chase. This is kind of a similar thing where it just sort of starts with a real bang, and it's genuinely upsetting. Like when the attacks happen, like it's what I love about it too is. I sort of made a claim in an earlier episode that Spielberg, the more rich and successful he got, the more disconnected he becomes from like accurate depictions of family life.
Sure.
I think I was wrong in this area. I think that it is a pretty good representation of sort of lower to middle class family life. But not only that, but it is the way that ordinary people would react when events of this proportion are happening, which is at first you are out on the lawn, you are chatting to your neighbors, you're looking at this thing. Like there's a great sequence where
you're doing that Independence Day thing.
Yeah, where the lightning starts flashing, and Tom Cruise, like every irresponsible father I know, would be like, "Hey, come out and look
Kids,
at the
come out and look.
look at the lightning. This is awesome. This is awesome." And then it starts to shift, but there is this growing sense of dread and the way they hold the suspense from the moment that oh shit, we know things are going wrong, and then escalates is masterful.
Yeah, but it also, I think, creates a little bit of tension just from the literal get-go in terms of like Cruise has been not lumbered with his kids, but he has to look after his kids who he can't really relate to.
He wants to drive his Mustang, have sex with the anonymous women that he noticed there's a reference to that, where there's like a little, he's like...
That's right, yeah. He's kind of a man-child. He's got the engine block on his dinner table and things like he's... Yeah, not really burdened by responsibilities and likes it that way.
This would be Maverick if Maverick hadn't got into the Air Force. This is the life he would have been
if Maverick was Slider.
Yeah.
But yeah, from the very beginning, there's kind of, this tension of like, it's not, overly dramatic or anything like that, but you're not, oh, look at this wonderful family getting along and all that kind of stuff. It's like, these people don't enjoy each other's company. And wait a minute, around them, things are getting more and more tense or more and more dangerous. Or more and more foreboding, and then the explosion.
Dakota Fanning plays the youngest daughter, Rachel, and Justin Chatwin plays his eldest son, Robbie. Both excellent. Continues Steven Spielberg's track record.
His good run. Yeah.
Being a great director of children. Dakota Fanning, like, if you were going to create a child in a lab to be in a Spielberg film, because she's got those enormous eyes.
Yes,
doesn't she? And like, there's that great scene where they're in the back of the car and the fireball's coming towards them, where she's like too scared to even speak. Because it can be irritating when you have a child, like even in Aliens, Newt's constant screaming after a while. You're like, okay, I get it. But in this, it sort of feels earned because she's such a great actress, almost like a reinvention of Drew Barrymore from E.T. Like it's a similar kind of child.
But then rewatching E.T. and looking at the performance of Henry Thomas and Robert McNaughton and Drew Barrymore, I was like, these are very good performances, but they're also kind of like untrained. It's almost,
she's like a real
Whereas Dakota Fanning and I think also Haley Joel Osment from AI,
they graduated Juilliard.
Yeah, they're so good, and it almost something I think you might have been alluding to, or that I picked up on was like when you see a child actor that's that good, it's almost like I'm going to get tired of this. You're too good. I'm not getting anything natural or real from you, but at the same time you are certainly from the likes of Dakota Fanning in this. Yeah, it feels like this is really good acting, but also a really good representation of a real person. Which I guess is what acting is. I don't know.
Yeah, she feels like she's not a precocious kid. She's just a kid who's articulate and smart.
Yeah, that's it.
But very emotionally available. It's funny, Justin Chatwin. In my head, I had him as Timothy Chalamet. But it wasn't until I started watching him, like, of course, Timothy Chalamet would have been like 8 years old when this film came out. There's no way it could be him. But he's got that similar kind of
that sort of
broody
elfin quality, but brooding.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he didn't kind of come out of this and go into like the Hunger Games or some big teen YA franchise.
Yeah, I think he was in a couple of things. But
he's done stuff like a bit like the Francis O'Connor from last episode. Oh, okay. I keep sort of like, this poor actor, they're fine. Like he's constantly working. He's doing fine. But it's just that, you'd imagine being a good-looking teenager in a film with Tom Cruise, directed by Steven Spielberg, that...
You think after that you can sort of write your own ticket.
Yeah, I guess like Marvel hadn't really been invented yet, or Hunger Games hadn't happened, but that pathway of teen heartthrob
Yeah.
to...
I think the thing I remember him from post War of the Worlds was there was like a live action Dragon Ball movie. And it was sort of like
Yes.
anglicized. I think he was the lead in that.
Right.
Because he's got, as I said, that wide-eyed look that sort of lends
With
itself up.
Kristen Credle, the
Oh,
girlfriend?
no, was that Street Fighter?
Oh, I'm getting
with
confused.
with Chris Klein, which
Oh, yeah.
is an
Okay.
episode unto itself. We should talk about that one day. I think Chow Yun-Fat was in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm trying to...
Dragon Ball Z?
I think it was called Dragon Ball Evolution or something.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, but I think that might have been like, let's try and make this kid a star, or let's try and make this kid a lead, or whatever, and that didn't really take off.
Yeah.
So,
And
but
then,
as you said, he's working.
yeah,
He's
and
doing all right.
Dakota Fanning obviously still working as well. Elle Fanning comes along after the
Yeah.
fact. Sort of a bit of an Elizabeth Olsen to her Mary-Kate and Ashley.
Dakota Fanning is that talented. She's both Olsen twins in one person.
But the tension that they create from this film, and it's interesting, right? Because I sort of said in the Minority Report episode that like Tom Cruise, when he's exasperated, that's when he's at his best. And this film, he is quite disciplined in that he's not very heroic.
No.
Like he does some things, especially as the further you get through the film, he starts to put his family before himself, which is really lovely. But there's never that moment of him being the tough guy with the gun or whatever. Like he beats the shit out of Tim Robbins behind a closed door.
Or being a selfless kind of hero. I mean, one of the things I remember most about this is after that initial appearance of the tripods and that first sort of traumatic attack, Cruise pulls a gun on this friend of his and says, "Give me your truck, give me your van. I've got to get my kids out of here." And it's like not really what you expect from your from the hero of your movie, and certainly from one played by Tom Cruise.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up guns because there's a scene when they drive into the crowd and the car gets mobbed and they get pulled out and Tom Cruise is able to fend off. Now, this is in New Jersey, you're saying. He pulls out a handgun. The fact that there aren't immediately 700, isn't there 2 handguns per person in the States?
Something like that.
I mean, someone else does pull a gun out and then they do sort of elaborate that where people start shooting each other. But I just would have thought that the last thing you want to do in the States is whip out a gun.
Because that gives you everyone else the right to do so. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much great imagery in this, though. I mean, Spielberg using his powers for good and evil in that regard. Because, I mean...
And the sound design is also incredible.
Yeah, but images like they have to stop at a level crossing or something for a train to go past. The train goes past, it's on fire.
Oh, okay.
That's so wild.
So I've written down, there is so much satisfying apocalyptic imagery from the flaming train to the falling jumbos, deserted highways. And the one that I always come back to is the dead bodies floating down
the river full of corpses.
So good.
Oh, yeah.
Like really, like we're saying that this is, Spielberg, so maybe on the downside of his sci-fi era, like that's 4 or 5 incredible
set pieces. Or bits of imagery. Yeah, it's like, never count this guy out.
Never.
Yeah.
And I do think too it is a culmination of his more dramatic work. Like, do you get to this version of War of the Worlds without Saving Private Ryan? You know what I mean?
No, it strikes me that he's always... It feels reductive and kind of condescending to say he's always learning. But, it's like he's always enhancing his skill set.
Yeah. But taking that sort of grittiness of a Saving Private Ryan, Schindler's List, his dramas, and then revisiting fantasy, which he's, built his name on and gone, okay, I'm going to give you the fantasy, but here's a bit of reality. It's kind of depressing. When you think
absolutely.
About it. We talked at the start of this series about like how his view on the world's changed from idealist, child-free Spielberg to now put upon father who just wants to drive his Mustang. He's got 2 shitty kids annoying him.
Well, when was Munich released?
I'm going to say like 2006.
Yeah, it's in this vicinity, right?
I think it's after. I feel like it's after War of the Worlds.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but it feels like War of the Worlds and Munich could be well paired.
Yeah,
because I mean that's such a grim movie.
Yeah,
but also just made with this incredible grasp of technique. But it should feel like you're getting cognitive dissonance or something, but instead it just works. It's like, oh, this material is so dour and downbeat and whatever, but it's made with such care and such finesse.
What do you think of, like, I've only seen the 50s one once, and the only hint you get of the actual aliens is at the very end when the hand comes out of the
Mm.
spaceship. I sort of feel like they shouldn't have shown the full-bodied aliens in this one. I feel like they would be much more intimidating and frightening if we'd never seen them, and we'd just done the same thing with the hand at the end.
I think so. Yeah. Just the only let's say exposure we get to them is the damage that they cause and the machinery that they use to do that. Yeah, I think that would that sort of makes much more sense and is a little more sort of intimidating and a little more frightening.
And I just think the design of the aliens is just fairly uninspired, which we're going to get to as Disclosure Day. But to me, it's like, are these leftover designs from Independence Day? Or
He has a
something?
type, yeah, or maybe Hollywood has a type when it comes to aliens. It seems, yeah, that the big head, the spindly body, the sort of the grey to green skin.
Yeah, I just don't know that we need to see them. And I mean, to be honest, that whole sequence in Tim Robbins' house is, I think, sort of the weakest part of the film. Like, there's so much great imagery, like the fact that the tripods suck up humans and harvest them and spit out the blood everywhere.
yeah.
Like, you just got these, these landscapes drenched in goo and guts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because the red weed is like a big part of the H.G. Wells story. My main exposure to War of the Worlds is that musical version that came out in the 70s. Are you aware of this?
No.
Have you not? Have you never heard of
No.
this? Oh my God, it's great. This guy called Jeff Wayne came up with like a musical version of the War of the Worlds. It got songs in it by like David Essex. and
Yeah,
things like that.
right.
Richard Burton does the narration.
Really?
I had like the double album when I was a kid. Like, I think it came out in the late 70s, came out like 78. And yeah, I just listened to that shit on repeat all the time. And they talk a lot about the red weed that coats the planet in the wake of the Martian invasion. And I'd never twigged that it was human residue.
Is that
I'm not sure if it is. I thought,
a 2005 thing, or
I think the blood might be a 2005 thing.
why don't we Google that? What is the red weed in War of the Worlds? So do you know if it's in the original?
I think it's in the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
War
Wasn't
of
a
the
real
Worlds.
H.G. Wells jag when I was a kid. Loved War of the Worlds, The Time Machine, Islands of Dr. Moreau.
The red weed
And
is
others.
an invasive extraterrestrial plant-like organism introduced to Earth by the Martians. It rapidly spreads across the landscape, turning waterways and fields into distinct blood red, symbolizing the aggressive terraforming. And okay, so it's part of terraforming.
Yeah.
So I guess Spielberg's interpretation is like, or
Was-
maybe we're the fertilizer for the red weed,
Maybe, yeah.
or is it all human waste? I think it's both.
I think it's a combo of the two.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Wow.
Which brings in a little bit of body horror to Spielberg, which we're not really that used to.
You never really consider him like a violent director. I mean, there are scenes in some. I mean, Indiana Jones is probably the most that get violent or bloody.
Yeah,
And then, of course, there's Jaws.
yeah.
I'm sure I'm going to poke many holes in
But
this
it's not,
argument.
it's
the
not, it's
further
not,
I
it's
go.
not, it's not Cronenberg or
Carpenter or anyone
Yeah,
like that. No, I mean, you never really think of him in. Has he really ever done horror?
Poltergeist.
I guess, yeah, but that's a Toby Hooper movie.
Yeah, of course.
That was directed by Toby Hooper.
No, I guess it's his extraterrestrial stuff has elements of horror, but it's not.
Yeah.
He's never. I don't think he ever has done full blown horror.
It leads into a question that's a bit sort of not highfalutin, but you think Hitchcock, you think thrillers, you think Cronenberg, you think body horror, whatever. What do you think of when you think of a Spielberg movie? I mean, he sort of defies genre, doesn't he? He's become almost Spielbergian.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Like, the reason we sort of decided to do this topic was because of obviously the release of Disclosure Day, but I sort of leaned to, when I think of Spielberg, I lean into the fantasy. He's an iconoclast director. He creates iconography out of adventure movies, out of monster movies, out of sci-fi. So I think of him as like the blockbuster guy.
Yes, that's a good way of putting
The
it.
blockbuster guy. But you're right.
Yeah.
He sort of merges all those elements, because even in those films, there's elements of drama, there's horror, there's,
He's
navel
like
gazing.
He's like a journeyman director, like an old school Hollywood guy who would like a Howard Hawks or a William Wyler or someone like that, who would go from genre to genre to genre, not necessarily classified by one specific thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's also become Steven Spielberg, a name brand.
Yeah.
So,
He's never done a Western either, has he?
no, although I talked about this on the podcast I do with Leonard Moulton. There was this thing going around where David Koepp, who's the screenwriter of Disclosure Day and a bunch of other Spielberg movies, said he had written the screenplay or was attached to write the screenplay. It was a reimagining of Westworld, the Michael Crichton movie from the 70s, which then got turned to the TV show. And around the same time, Spielberg, when he was on the publicity trial for Disclosure, they were saying, I've never directed a Western. I really want to. I've got a script that's, unusual, and it's a different take on the Western. And everyone's going, oh, wow, do you think Spielberg's going to direct this new version of Westworld? Could be. Who knows?
Yeah, right. But that's still, would you still classify that as a Western?
Yeah, interesting. I mean,
sci-fi.
it is, but a lot of it is sort of takes place with Old West iconography.
I'm not gonna allow that.
Okay.
Yellow card.
Yellow carding. It's
Yellow card. That is
not red carded, just yellow carded.
Miranda Otto. We mentioned.
Yeah.
Like a small but very pivotal role.
Got a fine eye for talented Australian actors in his movies.
He does. He does.
Between this is Frances O'Connor. So 2 examples.
It's interesting though, right? Like, did you at any point go, how did Tom Cruise and Miranda Otto end up together?
Where is he going? To Boston?
Something like that.
Yeah, and like a fairly high end.
Not Connecticut. Is it Connecticut or is it Boston? I think it's Boston.
I think
because
it might be
his son's
Boston.
wearing the Brewers cap.
That's right. Yeah, really pissing off Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did these two meet? And what connected them? Because, I mean,
he just
of
works
course
in
he's
the
Tom
dock.
Cruise, but yeah.
Tommy used to work on the docks.
Yeah, Miranda Otto is no Gina.
So apparently she was pregnant when she got cast.
Okay.
And she was scared of losing the role. But Spielberg was like, you know what? I love Aussie actors. I'm going to... Frances O'Connor's not available. She's doing
She's doing Broadway.
She's doing theatre in New York, so I'm going to get you in. But it's a uniformly good cast. I do wonder, though, about the Tim Robbins...
I was about to say, yeah. Now, is it because he's too well known? Or is it because he's ill-suited to the role? I always think, I mean, Tim Robbins is a very good actor. Yeah. But at the same time, I always view him as... And he's a serious guy. He's a serious-minded guy.
Bit goofy.
But I always view him as a little bit goofy. Maybe it's just my
But
enduring love of Bull Durham.
I think that's what he was meant to be. Like, this might not be a good like for like, but I thought he was meant to be like a Randy Quaid-esque.
Okay.
Like loser, loner,
Yeah.
who's lost his mind, maybe, got PTSD from...
So like the dark version of Randy Quaid from Independence
Day. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
okay. Because you look at that part on the surface and think, oh, well, this is a Michael Shannon part?
Yes, totally, 100%.
Yeah.
The whole thing about the character is, I feel like everything happens too quick. Like, it's like the film gets in a rush to, excuse me, to wind up the film, because he goes from being their savior to being a bad guy in the space of like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like he goes, like I think they could have had more tension there. You could have, because it's not an uncommon trope in an apocalypse film that you find the person with the safe haven and then you realize they want to keep you there forever. Or
This is the entire plot of 10 Cloverfield Lane,
Yeah,
essentially,
exactly.
which is a great movie.
Well, every apocalypse film has it. The person who appears to be an ally but turns out to be, but they do it so fast. But also, I think his motivation wasn't clear. Like, I think the tension of one guy not giving a fuck and wanting to go out and kill aliens is good, because Tom Cruise is trying to protect his daughter and is just pleading with this guy not to...
Yeah, let's just stay here where we're safe.
Like, there's a great sequence where he's doing the sign language. It's like, don't do it, like, come this way. If you're listening at home, that would have made no sense the last 10
Great
seconds,
audio,
but
Charlie.
I was just miming. But I sort of feel like that it was a wasted opportunity. They could have... Maybe there's a longer cut where you get to know him a bit more, because I didn't understand what his motivation was, why he was so angry. And also I feel like with Robbie, we'd just been through this, where Robbie's like, I want to go fight him. I want to go take him on. And Tom Cruise, and that was much more emotionally satisfying, and Tom's just let him go. Then we meet this new character, and then within 5 seconds, Tom's having the same conflict. Do you know what I mean? It just
I get
felt
what
like
you mean,
a bit of a double beat.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the weakest section of the movie. I mean, even though there are good aspects to it, I mean, I think it does have great moments of tension, great moments of pathos. I mean, it's kind of hilarious that Dakota Fanning asks her dad to sing her a lullaby, and the only one he knows is Little Deuce Coupe by the Beach Boys. Yeah, sort of, it's great character work as well. Sort of speaks to the failings of this dad he's never bothered to learn a lullaby.
You know, my favorite frustrated dad moment, because I feel like, I so identify with this, is when they get to the wife's place. They're not there, and he's like, "All right, I'm going to make some sandwiches." And he's doing that like Tom Cruise is at his absolute best when he's just like a charming douchebag.
Oh yeah.
And he's like dealing out the bread, and it's like, "All right, we're gonna have peanut butter." And then she says, "Like, I can't. I'm allergic to peanuts."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Since when?" She's like, "Since birth."
Birth.
And he just throws the sandwich against the window, and I'm like, "I've done that. I've been there, Tom. You got the kid who's like, for fuck's sake, like, I don't even want to be cooking for you right now. I'm doing my absolute best, and you're just gonna give me shit."
It's great that we view Cruise. He tends to have this overwhelming persona as like the alpha male, the ultra capable human being. He's best when he's playing losers or people who are flustered or exasperated or wrong-footed or having to come up with solutions on the fly and sometimes getting it wrong.
Yeah, like the best leading men are the ones who are very emotionally available, like like Bruce Willis, Harrison Ford. The reason why those guys are appealing is because they're I mean, of course, they're handsome and cool and all those kind of things, but their emotional availability makes you go, "Oh, they're frustrated by the same things that frustrate you."
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, that like they can take on an alien invasion, but their kids refusing to eat a sandwich is fucking kind of, that's going to be the red line.
Absolutely. I mean, look, you love John McClane because he's this chain-smoking, sweary guy who's, take it to the terrorist, beating the hell out of Alexander Goodenough or whatever. But, without the scene where he's, had to run through the broken glass and he's sitting in the bathroom, pulling glass out of his seat and telling our pal, it's like, I may not see my wife again. Tell her she's the best thing that ever happened to a bum like me. It's like,
that's it.
Who among us, who was, punching above their weight relationship-wise? I was thinking about this the other day in terms of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Indy's he's not unstoppable all the way through. He always takes his licks. But, one of the best special effects in that movie is where he's fighting the big Nazi. He's like, okay, I'm going to have to fight this guy. The big Nazi hits him with one punch. Harrison Ford does the best acting I've ever seen in my life. Just like, oh, he felt that one.
Yeah.
He sort of, it's like you can almost see cartoon canaries floating around his head and then he just lands on his ass. It's like, that's incredible. He felt that.
Yeah.
And that's why you like Harrison Ford or Bruce Willis and Cruise in this particular instance, because it's not all playing out for him. And he does have to step up. He has to rise to the occasion, which, he does to varying degrees.
Now let's discuss things outside of the actual story. This was a time in Tom Cruise's career.
Yeah.
When promoting this film, you may remember he went on Oprah Winfrey's show and he jumped up and down on a couch.
He was a guy in love. It was great.
How much?
How could you not feel for the guy?
Zeno had found him a bride and he was very happy. Now, apparently I didn't know this, but Spielberg and Tom Cruise had a falling out after this, a lot based on the heavy-handedness that Spielberg felt that Scientology was having in Tom Cruise's life and the promotion of this film. And he felt like that Tom Cruise was jeopardizing the success of this film by jumping around on a couch.
Were there unconfirmed reports that Cruise was like trying to convert people to Scientology on the set of War of the Worlds?
That is the rumor. Doesn't sound like Tom Cruise.
No, I mean, it doesn't like he was like setting up a booth saying Scientology now, ask me how.
I think though that I think that maybe the issue is not so much about conversion, but his beliefs around things like psychiatry, medication for mental health, that kind of stuff that he's against was having an impact, or he was making those views known.
Yeah, because it's around this time, right, that he splits from either his long-time producing partner or his long-time PR person.
Paula Wagner, is that?
Paula Wagner, I think, was his creative producer, and I think Pat Kingsley was his PR person. I think their relationships all dissolved. And Cruise is very much sort of like, well, I'm Tom Cruise. I mean, who's going to dislike what I've got to say on certain topics? Or, who's going to, not buy that I've finally found love again after... Even though, I mean, there were so many terrible rumors going around. It's like, he auditioned like Scarlett Johansson to be his next wife or something. It's like, oh, that sounds so sketchy.
I was around about this time, or maybe a few years after this, actually, probably about 3 or 4 years after this. Katie Holmes was in Melbourne shooting a film.
Oh, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I was working on a show that was shooting in one of the adjacent studios. And I remember me and Damon Harriman were getting a lift from the driver from studio back to our hotel or whatever. And we saw Katie Holmes with, I guess, like one of the Cruise kids playing in the parking lot. And we were like, it was like we were at a zoo. Like we were pressed up against the glass, going, oh my God, that's Katie Holmes. And we're immediately looking around, where's the Scientology? Where's the handler? Like, is there someone with a high-powered rifle on the rooftop?
Where are the snipers?
And she saw us.
Oh,
and
no.
it was like one of those moments where, like, in a horror film where the villain turns and makes direct eye contact, like she had a sixth sense that this van had two gawking idiots in it, because she looked at us and the glare that we got from her is like, it chilled me to the bone.
Oh my God.
Maybe I was expecting to get a knock on the door from some Scientologist that night saying, leave Katie alone. All right, let's move on to the other film we're going to discuss today, which is Ready Player One, which is the most, up until Disclosure Day, which is most recent, delving into sci-fi.
Yeah.
13 years after War of the Worlds, 2018, Ready Player One came out. Ready Player One, based on a novel by Ernest Cline.
Yes.
Which is, if you have not seen Ready Player One, I mean, how do you describe it? It is the worst of all the films we're going to be talking about, but it is perhaps the most prescient in terms of where entertainment is today.
It is. It is basically fan service, the motion picture, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about...
And the book is very much like that. So.
In the future, 2049, there is a version of the metaverse. It's called Oasis, which is a virtual world where everyone loves to spend all their time because the real world is so shitty and impoverished and horrible.
Again, it's one of those, it's the future, everything's fucked.
Everything, yeah. And so in this virtual world, people can have... It's unlimited what they can do, and they can look like anyone, they can do anything. And so there is a lot of collective IP.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like superheroes, there's sci-fi icons, all this kind of stuff. Now, I remember when they were talking about this novel and talking about this film, and you were like, oh, well, who better to bring all these popular IPs together than the man who's created more than any of them?
Sure.
And so as a curious film lover, I went out and bought Ernest Cline's novel. It's like, well, I'll just see what this is all about. I can say categorically, it is the worst fucking novel I've ever read in my life. It is terrible. Like, it is worse than terrible. It is, if you grew up in the 2000s reading any sort of film blog sites like Ain't It Cool News, it's the worst aspects of fanboy culture condensed into one book. And it's just like if you hate fan service, if you think nostalgia is overblown, then this film will make you want to cry. It is just soulless.
It's shit. I'm sorry. It's just no damn good. It's, pandering nonsense.
Yeah. And deifies pop culture to the point of like, this is not what these characters or these things were designed for.
Look, there is one particularly egregious example of this in Ready Player One. We can talk about it now, we can talk about it later. But
tell me now.
You're aware of the movie The Iron Giant,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Brad Bird?
Yeah, one of the most famous lines. Let's say the thesis of the Iron Giant. This is designed to be a weapon, and it says, "I am not a gun." What is it in Ready Player One? It's a fucking gun. So I say, as a great admirer of the Iron Giant, and dare I say, a card-carrying pacifist, fuck you, Ready Player One. You fucked it up.
Yeah, it's just a...
There are other things to dislike about this movie.
Well, look, I've railed against I'm not a fan of like nostalgia porn, nor this. It's funny, like when Will and I started doing TOEFOP almost 14 years ago, we used to muse, wouldn't it be great if there was like if comic book movies were like what you read in the comic books?
Yeah.
And now it's like, I just don't want to see another fucking comic book film. I've seen too many. But it's also this kind of idea that we are unable to move on culturally because we have deified a 20-year window of creativity into being like untouchable.
Yeah.
And it's not. And it's also like we've talked about on this show before, IP like Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters was a fucking Saturday Night Live sketch gone to feature film. And now it's like, oh, I found the Ecto-1. And it's like these, slavish kind of reverential shots of like like the what do you call it? The proton packs. And it's just like, no, stop it. Like, not everything has value to it. We don't need to know how Han Solo got his name. Like, all this shit is just, it's getting into
calcified is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
and it feels like I am one of the few people who did not like Top Gun Maverick. And the thing that I couldn't get past with Top Gun Maverick is like, this is horrifying. What we're basically saying is in 35 years, if you knew someone who in 35 years was still wearing the same leather jacket, still riding the same motorbike, you'd think that they're the coolest guy ever, not someone who needs fucking intense therapy. Like everything about that film, like I thought Top Gun Maverick was a joke when I thought it was like, this is like, they're literally taking shots from the first one. That's like Tony Scott stuff. Like they're aping Tony Scott. They're giving us nothing new. And everyone's like, oh, isn't it amazing that we all went back? No, that's not amazing. Like, this is why I talk about like Trainspotting 2, I think is one of the best sequels,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Because they're like, what would it actually be 40 years on? You can't just be an angry young heroin taking punk your whole life. Now you've got like problems with like you're keeping your penis up.
Now you're having a heart attack on the treadmill. Oh yeah, I think that is basically mainlining melancholy. That movie, it's in the best possible way.
But at least Danny Boyle is like, I'm not going to just play the same notes. I'm gonna adapt it. Whereas,
and you did that again with 28 years later, I think.
Yeah. Whereas Ready Player One is just, it is, and the other thing about it too is we talked in the Verhoeven series we did that like Hollow Man feels like it could have been directed by anyone. This feels like it could have been directed by anyone.
It's got enough technical virtuosity in it to make you go, oh, this is directed by someone with great skill. But it also feels like one of the projects that Spielberg would like farm out to one of his proteges or something like that. And when I say proteges, I mean, it sounds like I'm damning them with faint praise. When you say people like Zemeckis or Dante or someone like that. But yeah, this feels like an Amblin production that was, not for...
It feels like
Edgar Wright, you're someone who could, who it's time for you to step up and make a Hollywood movie. Here's this known IP that's full of known IP. It's probably guaranteed to be a bit of a hit, and you'll get to see how the system works after making Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and things like that.
But do you think he went and saw Avatar and was like, oh, what is this motion capture stuff? Like, I think maybe I need to get up to speed on.
Well, as I said, he likes to keep enhancing his skill set. I think he likes to keep abreast of what's going on, and he likes to remain relevant. And this unfortunately feels like the kind of time when it's like, this is what the kids are into, right? And this is what you get as a result.
All right, I got some bones to pick with this film.
Sure, let's
I've got
go over the bones, man.
All right. The idea that Olivia Cooke is meant to be ugly.
I'm so glad you mentioned this. It's like, I've got to hide behind this avatar because of this birthmark the size of a 20-cent piece. And by the way, you still look like Olivia Cooke.
Yeah, and not only that, but in certain scenes, they grade the birthmark to lessen its impact. Because when you first said, it's quite purplish and, it does dominate. But then do you notice the rest of the film, the grade's just a bit lighter, so it just blends in. So it just looks like a nice bit of shading on her face.
Oh, my God.
And it's like, this is what I mean. It doesn't feel like like it's so cheap. Like that's what I'd expect from Michael Bay. Like Michael Bay would cast Megan Fox as like, the ugliest woman on the planet or whatever. But it's like, what are you doing? And I mean, I don't know. Just don't acknowledge it. Like just, it's not relevant. And there is no impact between meeting her avatar and then meeting the real life version of her. There's none
at all.
And also like Wade is such a creep. Look, I find him the creepiest. Like, he's way too intense. Tells her he loves her straight away. I understand he's been following her.
They've had their online interaction, shall we say. Yeah, but...
but he comes on so fucking strong. And, like, it's just like, chill, dude. Stop touching her face. He touches her chin the first time he meets her in real life. Yeah. He puts his hands on her.
This is a Steven Spielberg directed movie, but this is very much the Ernest Cline of it all, right. I think. Apologies to Ernest Cline if you're listening. You're probably a very nice guy, but having said that, I've read your work and it's no good at all. And it also betrays a sort of a stunted worldview, shall we say.
I mean, she's basically his, Manic Pixie?
Manic Dream Girl, yeah.
That's his version of it. Like, she wears fishnet stockings and, she's dresses grunge.
But also, she reads indie comics.
Yeah. Like, everything about it just makes you want to just hand in your geek card, doesn't it?
It does indeed. And Wade Watts, the central character, he's kind of a blank as well, in all honesty. He's just sort of the chosen one, but a very blank chosen one.
Yeah, there's nothing really about him. Like, he lives with his auntie that he kind of cares about, but then she gets killed and it's like, there's no real stakes or weight. Yeah, anything like that. And I just sort of feel like, again, the precursor, what it was prescient about is you go on YouTube now and any number of videos is AI slop of it's the Terminator fighting RoboCop, or it's what happens if Tim Burton made a third Batman film or whatever. And so you get it and you watch it might even be technically really proficient, but you
Sure.
just come away with this sense of what is the point of any of this?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we used to have movies where it's like you have your action figures sort of clashing up against one another. It's like, wow, what if the alien had to fight the predator? Wow, let's get 2 whole movies out of that.
Mm.
I mean, but that's essentially, a kid in a kid in their toy box smashing shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a kid in their toy box smashing all their toys together.
You know who does great work though?
Who does?
Mendo.
Mendo. It's like, you think that Olivia Cook's birthmark is distracting. Talk about Ben Mendelsohn's teeth.
Yeah, so great. He's got veneers, top and bottom veneers.
Yeah.
And it's a very understated performance because at first I'm like, what is he doing here? But then I realized, oh no, this is a nod and a wink. Like he knows how ridiculous this is. And so he just stays very disciplined. He resists the urge to overplay it. Like he doesn't choose scenery, but it's just such a ridiculous character. And I would love to see the behind the scenes footage of Ben Mendelsohn in the ping pong ball suit with the tracking marks on his face. Like I just can't imagine Mendo. Like they must have all this B-roll of him like going out for a cigarette, like punching darts.
Did you ever work with Mendo? Or?
No.
No. I mean, I've only ever interviewed him a couple of times, and he's very savvy, and a very smart person, and someone who doesn't seem to tolerate a whole lot of bullshit. But imagine the opportunity to work with Spielberg. You just take it no matter what the requirements of the role.
What was his avatar though? It kind of looked like Bizarro Superman.
Yeah.
Is that what it was meant to be?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine sort of the legal logistics of this as well.
Yeah,
dealing with so many different strands of IP from so many different conglomerates or whatever.
Well, I think
but I think Bizarro Superman sounds about right.
From what I read was they of all the IPs they wanted to include, they got 90% of them.
Okay.
So they got pretty much everything they wanted, but that was based on Steven Spielberg having such great relationships with every different studio and.
Well, there's that whole tribute to the Shining in there, isn't there?
Yeah, which I don't know. I mean, I know they were mates. But I reckon it's Stanley Kubrick.
It's like you're pushing the friendship.
It'd be rolling in the snowy maze. I don't understand the point of that whole sequence. Like, I mean, okay, so
I can't remember.
Is it in the novel? I don't remember it being in the novel.
I don't recall it in the novel either. I think
that feels Spielberg.
That feels native, yeah. And it also feels like.
But talk about cheapening.
I don't have an emotional connection to anything. Much like you call it a 5-finger exercise when you're playing piano, like you're trying to exercise or train yourself in new skills, and maybe that's what he's doing here.
It's also 2049. Like what teenager in 2049 is looking back to a film from 80 years ago and being like, this is the scariest film of all time?
Well, yeah, but also we're getting Ghostbusters sequels when the original came out in 1984.
Yeah.
Maybe Generation X or
the
millennials.
Yeah. Zac Efron is Jack Torrance.
They keep perpetuating there was Dr. Sleep. No, there was that.
I guess
sequel
so.
to The Shining. Yeah,
but I don't know that there would be many kids who would hold up The Shining as like.
No, not really. I mean, I wanted to ask you this when we were talking about AI, the Spielberg movie. I mean, what's the first movie you think of when I say Stanley Kubrick? Is it The Shining?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think of 2001 for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering how pervasive The Shining is in
popular culture.
In popular culture, yeah. I mean, I think that you've got Here's Johnny.
I mean, maybe this is a little sidebar, but for a while I like to listen to podcasts when I go to sleep, and for a while, or video essays. And I got way into Shining video essays on The Shining to go to sleep because there's so many of them, and they go really deep into like the subtext of the film. So I think that like if you go online, there's definitely a lot of still interest in The Shining, but I do think it's a generational thing.
Yeah, and there's a difference between that kind of film nerd deep dive and, dare I say, normies. Yeah,
and you imagine the kids in the Oasis are mostly normies.
You would think, I know that Ready Player One predates this, but like, where's all the K-pop Demon Hunter stuff?
Yes, totally. That's the other thing too, right? Like. This film only makes sense if the world stopped in 1992.
Yeah, and within the sort of the borders of the Western world, I guess.
Yeah, that's right, of course.
There's not a lot of...
Yeah, where's the manga?
Where's the anime?
There is a Gundam.
A Gundam?
Gundam, yeah.
Okay.
Fighting Mecha Godzilla at the end. But the whole thing just feels so, like, pointless, and it's like I'm not a gamer, so I'm probably the wrong person to comment. But like, it just feels like cutscenes.
Yes.
Like nothing has any weight. Nothing has any. There's no stakes. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, when we talked about Minority Report and War of the Worlds, which are maybe a decade and a half prior to this, we talked about the cynicism or that sort of was feeling like it was permeating those movies, sort of maybe a sense of despair or confusion about the state of the world. This has a different kind of cynicism. It's almost like Spielberg didn't need to cash in, but this feels like he's cashing in. Or selling out.
I almost feel like it's, and I'm basing this on nothing but vibes, that he was like, I need to protect my legacy. I need to put my stamp as the king of pop culture. So I'm going to make the biggest pop culture film, and it's just, but it doesn't work.
No,
it just feels like I said, anyone could have done it. T.J. Miller plays IROC. Very complicated individual, T.J. Miller, I understand.
Yes.
What movie is he? What is this character? I understand the point of the character, but what is he doing? Like it's just this comic relief, but he's also meant to be the lead henchman, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Again, I want to say this is the Ernie Klein of it all. I don't know. You've got to have this kind of character in there who's like the
ironic.
Bad guy but funny, like the villain you love to hate, or I don't know. But that seemed to be also T.J. Miller's kind of raison d'etre as well.
Yeah, that was he's coming out of Deadpool
and
Silicon Valley.
Transformers. I think he was in one Transformers movie where he got vaporized. I think he pissed off Michael Bay so much. Like, I don't think you were meant to get killed, but let's just turn you to ash.
Yeah. It's just so many things. And then there's the Mark Rylance performance, which feels like it's in a completely different film.
That's true.
And I understand what he's doing, but with what we know now about like tech CEOs, like, okay,
they're not Willy Wonka style eccentrics. They're a little more calculated. I mean, if they are going to give off a kind of like, well, I just know, ones and zeros. I'm too innocent for this world. That kind of thing. No one's buying it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they really sort of steered into the whole Willy Wonka thing of it all. This is post Bridge of Spies, right?
Yes, that's right. This is when Spielberg's new muse for a short time. But it's I felt like...
Let's not forget Simon Pegg's in there as well.
Yes.
Are we going to get to him, or do you?
We will get to him.
Oh, okay.
I just want to stay on Mark Rylance.
Sure, please.
As Anorak Halliday. Was it? Anorak, yes. And Halliday, James Halliday. That I felt like this is a Shakespearean trained actor doing his impression of what he thinks a nerd is.
Right.
Everything about it was so mannered, and like, the broken speech and the kind of like, awkwardness in the way he interacts. But
I'm much more comfortable online than I am with the human beings.
Yeah, so, but no, you're a RADA trained thespian. I just cast an actual nerdy actor. Like Simon Pegg should have been playing that role. He could do it much more naturally. Instead, he's playing the kind of, more
outgoing,
confident, business partner. And it's like, it's just, I don't know. Maybe it was just because Spielberg was so in love with him from Bridge of Spies. It's like, I'll give him this key role.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like Rylance is an untalented guy.
No, but you know what I mean? Like,
but there's talent only takes you so far.
I have the same problem with Cate Blanchett in a lot of films. A lot of times I'm like, she's a brilliant actress, but she's got this Nida voice, no matter what she's doing. It's like, I just can't, or you're so technically proficient, I can't see beyond the technical proficiency.
I get where you're coming from.
To what you're doing. The character doesn't feel lived in. It feels an impression.
Yeah, like you can see the wheels turning. Yes. You can see the seams. Yeah.
The Pegster.
Oh, my Peggy. Yeah. One gets the feeling this is
Ogden Morrow.
Yeah, it's something that he really, this feels like his playground, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
He gets to work with Spielberg. I mean, you look at Simon Pegg, the guy must feel like he is living the dream, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because if you know him from space, you know that like, oh, this guy is very fluent in pop culture. Yeah, he loves Star Wars. He loves Hollywood sort of, big blockbusters and things like that. And now he's part of them. Now he's, I won't say an integral part of the Mission Impossible franchise, but he's in at least half of it.
Do you follow him on Instagram?
I do not.
Oh, he likes to post DJ videos. So he likes. Okay. He's an amateur DJ. So. He likes to do mixes. He did the Imperial March mixed in with, I don't know, Niles Barkley or something the other day.
That feels very on brand.
But I also read an interview with him recently that was kind of interesting. So he had problems with alcohol right through this. Well, I don't know up as far as Ready Player One, but definitely sort of Shaun of the Dead through to early Mission Impossible films. He had real imposter syndrome and was sort of self-medicating through alcohol.
Yeah, and did Cruise not talk him out of it, but did Cruise like do an intervention or something?
I don't know, but
Did he read his thetans?
He did an e-meter. He said that it's hard to talk about Tom Cruise because he says he understands what the public perception is of Tom Cruise, but Tom Cruise has become a very close friend, and so he just chooses not to talk about it.
Okay,
so I don't know if that means he's been converted, but yeah, like he is almost the perfect person for this film. I just think he's been put in the wrong role.
Yeah.
And what's Ty Sheridan gone on to do? Has he kicked on?
Yeah, he shows up in stuff. He was in a film with Sean Penn.
Was he the kid from Mud?
Yes, and I think he's also in The Tree of Life, the Terrence Malick movie.
That's right. And he was Cyclops in Apocalypse.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, and he did Joe as well. Okay, so he's been in some good films.
Joe, of course, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, a bit of an...
Was he in Mud or Joe? Because they're movies I tend to confuse. Was he really?
He was in both.
Okay, because they're two movies I tend to sort of
Yeah,
confuse or
because it's
conflate.
similar kind of vibe. And you know what? It's the same composer too.
Oh, okay.
For both films. So the soundtracks are very similar.
Because Mud is our guy, Jeff Nichols.
Yes.
Yeah, brace yourself for the incoming Jeff Nichols series, folks.
We love Jeff Nichols. We had this conversation over lunch about how much we love Jeff Nichols.
Yeah, but,
that's such a great idea. He's got a new film coming out soon too.
He does, as well. I was like, just love Jeff Nichols. And David Gordon Green did Joe. So, I mean, these are two sort of like, they're like the American auteurs that I enjoy. They're like a throwback to guys from the 70s like Hal Ashby or Paul Mazursky or someone like that. It's like, you're too good to be sort of stuck in the very low budget indie realm for too long, but you're too idiosyncratic to sort of break through.
Yeah.
I mean, Nichols tried it with Midnight Special, which is like just one of my favorites of the last decade and a half, maybe even more. And everyone's thinking, this is his breakthrough, and then he'll go on and sort of make franchise movies or something like that. It just didn't quite take.
Yeah. David Wingo was the composer I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
He did both Joe and Mud. Great. If you want some good music to write to, put on some David Wingo.
Yeah. Is his band Lucero or Lucero?
Oh, I don't know. Didn't know he had a band.
I think he might be in a band anyway.
Very atmospheric. But look, I think we've discussed enough of Ready Player One. Probably more attention than
maybe. Although, did we mention in earlier episodes how Spielberg will sort of have his lookalikes?
You did mention this.
Yeah, and how Ty Sheridan is maybe the best example of it. He looks so much like Spielberg.
It's so funny you should bring that up because that's literally the first thing, that the opening scene where you see Ty Sheridan for the first time where he's climbing down the ladder. I'm like, oh my God, he looks like a baby Spielberg. He's got the glasses on. He's got the sort of curly, loose hair. Yeah, 100% is ironically, is Spielberg's avatar in the movie Ready Player One. Okay, that will be it for this episode. So we're going to wrap this all up next week. We're going to discuss Disclosure Day in depth, and we're going to, should we rank our favourite sci-fi films from Go to Woe, or does it?
I get the feeling we may have already done that
in the order of the episode
by our reactions that we've shown throughout this episode. But we'll do that.
We can discuss. We can discuss. That'll be happening next week. Guy, as always, where can people find you outside of the Everyone Relax universe?
You could also find me at the Full Finger Discount universe or the Full Finger Discount Network, where
enter the Oasis. Go into the Four Finger Discount universe.
It's myself and the multi-talented, ever-industrious Brendan Dando, talking about The Simpsons, talking about South Park, Seinfeld, Bob's Burgers, all manner of 90s nostalgia and ephemera.
Yeah, but after we have to shit on people leaning,
but the good version.
The good version.
There's also the movie guide with Moulton and Davis, where Leonard Moulton and I, yes, that Leonard Moulton from Entertainment Tonight, he and I will discuss movies and show business.
Links to everything in the show notes. We'll be back again to wrap this series up. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I am Guy Davis.